Hi, Glenys French here from Blue Sky Thinking. Welcome back to part 2 of my video series called Successful Strategies for Business. I wanted to start by just telling a little bit more about myself and why I'm doing this and why I've set up Blue Sky Thinking. I've had many businesses over the years, from the Liaison Print days, which was a very successful company, to an advertising agency, communications companies, publishing companies, restaurants, farms, and now the Blue Sky Thinking mentoring and coaching business. One of the things that drew me back to Christchurch was that in 2010 and 2011, Christchurch suffered a severe earthquake which virtually levelled the city. A lot of people were hurting from what happened, losing their homes, having to resurrect businesses and trying to get their businesses up and running again after losing a lot of their records. So while I was travelling and training overseas and going around the world with people like T. Harv Eker and Robert Kiyosaki, doing wealth creation and personal development, I found that I was travelling backwards and forwards to Christchurch and observing what was going on. And one of the things I love about New Zealand is we have a very creative culture here, and there's we call it the number 8 wire, but it's actually we can do things from nothing virtually, create things. And I see a lot of very talented people in the city, and I could see how that if those talented people could get their gifts to the market, that it would make it a lot more sustainable city in the future. So I came back to set up Blue Sky Thinking, mentoring and coaching, because I believe that there's a lot of people that need support to get that to the market. The thing that happens with small business and why it so often fails is that in the early stages, in the first year, people usually start a business because they're passionate about something. They have an idea, they're passionate about it, they start doing it almost as if it's a hobby that's created a business for them. After about a year, they start to run themselves ragged because suddenly they realise that they're actually working in their business. They're not working on their business, so they're not putting themselves in a position to grow their business. One of the first books that I ever read was Michael Gerber's The E-Myth, which tells you about working on your business and not in it. The second thing that you have to evaluate before you start a business is why you're doing it. If you're just doing it to create a job, then you might be better off working for someone because it takes a lot of time and effort. So you really have to have the mindset that you're starting this business to create financial freedom for yourself. And the best way to start this is by thinking about what will happen at the end. So preparing your business for sale from day one, and so that you've got something that's actually of value, because you will never possibly get the returns that you would like to get for the amount of effort you put in the early days. The third thing I'd like to talk to you about is using your natural talents. Now, sometimes the combination of the passions and the natural talents makes a really good success formula for a business. And you don't have to know how to do everything to start with, and you can go off and do courses to improve on your already existing talents. But if you're working outside of your natural talents and what you're comfortable with all of the time, it's very tiring. So for an example of that is someone who actually sets up a business and it's all related around sales, and they're not a natural salesperson and they don't enjoy sales. They can go out there and do it, but it is tiring. So it's something that further ahead you might look to employ a sales team or a sales manager to actually motivate that team. So the other thing is to learn to be coached. It's important that you can be coached and are coachable. And if you actually desire having the business grow, then you actually need to have something like a board of directors or someone to actually help you along the way. The other thing that I think is important is to know that you won't know everything. And the thing with business, which is really strange, you start off doing something you love, and then before long you realise that you have to leverage the business by using other people's skills in that business. So suddenly you go from being the person who's doing the job to a person who's teaching other people how to do the job, and that's the way your business will grow, because there's only so many hours in a day. So if you're working on an hourly basis, you're never going to be financially free. So it's important that you realise you don't know everything in the business, and you can actually ask others for help and support. You can actually ask for your staff and your clients and make suggestions to them about things that we could improve and get them to give you feedback. I think the other thing that I surrounded myself with in my business was a support network. So people that were on the peripherals, they might have been some of the creditors, they might have been some of your suppliers, they might have been some of your clients that you really trusted. So I just surrounded myself with people who could support me. And the most important thing you need to remember is to actually make sure that your business solves a problem. It's all very well to go out there with passion and desire to do something, but if there's not a need for it, it's not going to go anywhere. So if you can think of something in your life that's causing you a problem, this is a great place to come from to start a business. So if you've got a problem and you find a solution, there's a good chance that somebody else might have the same sort of problem. So a good example of this is Anita Broderick from The Body Shop, who set up a business, worldwide organisation, out of a need for herself, where she wanted to have the natural products and couldn't get them, so she started making them. And then she realised that there was a lot of people out in the world that also wanted those sorts of products. And we all know the story of how that organisation has grown around the world with a real strong sense of values and purpose. That's just part 2 of our series. I hope you've enjoyed the few little tips. I'd like to welcome you to come back to the next one, which will be part 3, and I look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day.